We are now studying Perek Daled Mishnah Yud, the 10th Mishnah in the 4th chapter of Sheviit. This is the last Mishnah in the 4th chapter. Okay, we're continuing our study of the idea of l'achla v'lo lehafsed. You're not allowed to cause the loss of fruits of Sheviit on Sheviit. You have to eat them. God gave us the fruits. HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave us the fruits. I just want to get my place. HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave us the fruits in order to eat, as we learned before. To eat the fruits, or to benefit from them as they normally would benefit from them, but not to waste. So the same thing is true. Let's say I want to cut down a tree that has fruit on it. So as we're going to see, if the tree has fruit on it, or even the beginning of fruit, it would be a problem. You'll ask, hey, aren't you not allowed, isn't it prohibited to cut down a fruit tree at all? There's a pasuk that says, Ki mimenu tocher ve'oto lo tichut. If you have a fruit tree, you eat from the fruit tree, but you can't cut it down. So the Bartanura says, that's not a problem if, there's something called kotzetz ilano tovim, and so you're not allowed to do that, unless the tree is me'uleh b'damim. If the Gemara in Baba Batra says, yes, the Torah prohibits you from cutting down a fruit tree, you have to leave it for the fruits, unless the wood of the tree is worth more than the tree itself. Than the fruit that the tree would yield. So if for whatever reason orange wood is worth a lot of money, and the oranges are not worth a lot of money, then a person would be permitted to cut down the orange tree for the wood. That's during a normal year. But in Sheviit, there's an additional problem. If I cut down the tree and there are fruit on it, or the beginning of fruit on it, then there's a problem, as we'll see in the Mishnah. So let's assume that the wood is worth more than the fruit. So normally, during a normal year, you would be permitted to cut down the tree. From what point? From when? May you not cut down the tree on Shevi'it because you're going to be wasting fruit. Beit Shammai omrim, kol ha'ilan mishiyotzi. Every tree mishiyotzi when it produces fruit. Ubeit Hillel omrim, Beit Hillel says, it depends on the tree. Hacharuvim mishe yishaleshu. The charuvim, the carob tree, mishi yishaleshu. Yishaleshu means it becomes like a chain. So the Bartanura says, mishi yatchil lachbid v'litlot ke'en shalshelet. When the fruits start to weigh down like a chain, like a shalshelet. Hagvanim, grapevines, mishe yigaru. Yigaru is a tricky word to understand. Mishi yasu garinim. When it has seeds, so that's well along in the process. Or pirush acher, another pirush. When it becomes, like we said, a pul halavan is a white bean. Remember that grapes grow very, very small. When you have small, tiny grapes, when you see the beginning of the grapes, then you can no longer cut down the geffen, the vine, even though the vine itself is worth more than the tree because it's wasting fruit. V'hazeitim, and zeitim alas mishi yanetsu. Yanetsu means they spring forth from netzachama, the springing of the morning, mishi yanetsu, when they flower. And every other fruit mishiyotzi when they start producing the fruit, when the fruit begins to grow. And so therefore the whole point is, because the fruits are begun to grow, therefore if you cut down the tree, you're wasting the potential fruit. But any tree, once we come to the onata masot, i.e. once the fruit is usable, is pickable, then mutar l'katzato. You can cut down the wood, assuming that, of course, the wood is more valuable. Why? You're not wasting the fruit. Take them off. Pick the fruit, and then you can cut the wood. Kama yehe bezayit. We're going to see, but a zayit, an olive tree, is a little bit different. Kama yehe bezayit v'lo yakutzeno. How much must the zayit be able to produce in order to prohibit a person from cutting it down? And the Bartanura says, this is talking about not on Sheviit. Ella asur l'katzato mishum kotzetzi lano tovim. There's a prohibition in zayit, olive trees, were worth significantly more. So how much should it be on the zayit that you can't cut it down? Rova, a quarter kav of zayit. And that's really a tiny, tiny amount. Rav Shimon ben Gamliel omer hakol lefi hazayit. Rav Shimon ben Gamliel says it all depends on the zayit itself, on the tree itself, or I guess on the fruits themselves. It could be worth even more depending on the fruit and depending on the tree. So if you have a tree and it's worth more, nowadays we're very, very careful about not cutting down the fruit trees unless there's a very, very compelling reason. It's an issue d'oraita. So even though but we wouldn't, when we cut down trees, we don't use the wood anyway. So this kula, this permissibility, this heter brought by the Gemara is really not relevant to us at least in our backyards. We will stop here. If you have any comments or questions, as always, contact me at arspotu@gmail.com. And we'll dedicate the learning to my father's memory. His name was Harav Simcha ben Yitzchak Kalman. Have a great day.